It's Saturday morning, and that means it's time to catch up on the local and statewide high school sports scene. Welcome to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning to you. It's the 13th of April here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. I am Matt Hatfield. I'm the coach, Ed Young. Actually, that's not the coach, Ed Young. That's a terrible... I got to get my voice a little more hoarse, a little raspier, Thomas. You want to give it a try? Thomas Simmons, our producer engineer. You want to give me your Ed Young impersonation shot?
Ed will just be... Coach would be reading a newspaper or something.
Oh, wow. He's going to come in and throw a stick at you in a few minutes. No, Coach will be here, I'm sure, delighted to provide everyone his traffic updates as he was gone last week. You know, he celebrated his 102nd birthday last Friday, the 5th of April. That according to Facebook. 102.
Wow, that's incredible. That must be a record.
It's got to be. Well, I mean, he's, then he could be on the, what is it, the Today Show where they do the Smuckers thing where they, is it Al Roker? They salute all the 100.
For 100.
That's what his Facebook said. I mean, Now, do you believe everything you read on social media? I don't. I mean, there's a lot of things. We don't have enough time in this 2-hour program to tell you about everything that's fake news or lies on social media. What we can do in this 2-hour program of High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com, as well as the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. It comes your way starting Wednesday at Churchland High School in Portsmouth through next Saturday, going out to the PIT, PortsmouthInvitational.com. Tickets available at the door each evening over there for the PIT. And also go to PortsmouthInvitational.com. We'll have the rosters for you coming up Monday night on the 757 at 6 as they'll be released coming up on Monday. A lot of people celebrating still the University of Virginia's national championship this past Monday in college hoops. Spring break for some schools got underway yesterday for high school, so we'll have some spring break, you could say some gaps in the high school spring sports action, although I see some teams are playing during spring break, so maybe we'll have a little bit more to discuss and go into with that. We can tell you a couple of noteworthy things that happened on the diamond for high school baseball this week. Maury, which was number one ranked in the Virginian Pilot, Southampton Roads for high school baseball. They've had a terrific season so far. Got upset not only by Granby on Thursday, they got knocked off by Churchland last night. So a couple of losses there for the Commodores. Probably a new number one team when the Pilot does its baseball rankings next week. Another noteworthy performance, Reed Long of Western Branch on Thursday had 17 strikeouts in a complete game for the Bruins and their 7-0 shutout of Oscar Smith. 17 strikeouts. That is mighty impressive. Woodside beat Gloucester 7-3. John Carter pitched 3 innings for the win, scored a couple times, handed the Dukes their first loss in 8 games. Woodside, a team to watch out for in the PD. And still, I believe, undefeated in the PD is the Hampton Crabbers. Danny Mitchell celebrated a birthday yesterday, and he'll be joining us in the 11 o'clock hour of the program here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. So we'll chat with Danny Mitchell of the Crabbers coming up in the next hour of the show. We'll also have on the program Michael Vick, former Pro Bowl NFL quarterback, is scheduled to join us, now of Fox Sports studio analyst. New Michael Vick Teen Center in Newport News was unveiled on Friday at the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula. He donated some televisions, board games, Xbox, all kinds of games and gadgets and gizmos for the teenagers to use. So we'll chat with Michael Vick, hopefully coming up in about 20, 25 minutes or so as he's back in his old stomping grounds, making a difference in the community, and that's great to see. We're going to also effort to play back, time permitting, our interview from last weekend at the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame VIP celebrity dinner with Debbie White, longtime ODU sports information director. She's worked with NCAA committees for basketball and Olympic Committee. She's done so many great things and was one of the members that went into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. We played last night, if you missed it, here on ESPN Radio 94.1, interview with Jeff Burton of NASCAR as the NASCAR race is up in Richmond tonight. He was also going to that Hall of Fame last weekend, along with Wendy Larry and Reuben Brown. We had interviews with them last weekend on the show. And if you missed last Saturday's show, go up to virginiapreps.com. It's still on our front page, in fact, the High School Sports Talk replay. You can click that button. It's free to click, and you can hear past interviews and segments of the show as we have it on our other tab. Generally on the site on virginiapreps.com, you'll see tabs for all the different sports, whether it is football, basketball, baseball, and then you see a tab for other. We have message boards that are free to check out as well on virginiapreps.com, and some premium content too. So go give it a look on virginiapreps.com. So Michael Vick coming up at about 10:30 or so this morning. We'll have the playback interview with Debbie White, Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, ODU, sometime between then and when Danny Mitchell, the Hampton Crabbers, we believe the undefeated Hampton Crabbers, and if my stats are right, 8-0, and they've outscored their opponents 84-7 with 5 shutouts on the season. Phone lines are open for you to talk to us at 757-687-9494. Give us a call at 757-687-9494, and we'll talk to you on the phones here. And at this time, my usual cohort is here. He has rinsed off all the rain. He's came in soaking wet like a dog that just jumped in a puddle. He is known as, once again, the coach, Ed Young. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. No, I'm not. It's not rain out. It's nice out. It's
That's
cloudy,
not true.
A little cloudy, but it's nice.
Then you really did leave later than I did.
No, I left on time. Unfortunately, they picked Saturday to have a accident on the high-rise bridge. And,
would you like my water? I'll give you water.
He's got plenty of water from outside.
I know.
No, it's nice out.
I mean, the rain has stopped. Coach is right. It's just really sad out.
Yeah, it's just cloudy. But, one thing, my traffic report, people, Hampton roads, it's raining. They either drive too fast or too slow. Can we please drive somewhere in the middle?
Just right.
Not in the middle of the road, which some people do that too.
They like to bear it to port.
Yeah,
you don't want
license
it too hot,
plate
too cold.
LH9731. Okay, return your license back in the Wheaties
That's
box,
my dad.
please.
Dad, don't be out there. Stop that. Actually, that's not.
And
I think his says Hats Hits or something.
RG6.
He's the original Hats Hits.
RG644.
Oh, he must be an RG3 fan.
Yeah, you too. Put. You don't even have a license. All right, so park the car. Park the car. Okay, that's the only two cars that I want to give out. It's great to be back. I was missing in action last week. Got a chance to see my Yankees
there
play.
you go. This is a traffic music. You can be our new traffic reporter.
For your traffic report.
Oh, there it is. We have traffic out there. Yeah, there's a lot of yoo-hoos out there to know what they're doing.
Yoo-hoos is a chocolate drink.
That's what they're doing too. The drinking. Ooh, that's your IQ, buddy. Get out of the way.
You don't mince words. That's his lifelong dream. Not to win a state championship. He did that back in the 80s. Been there, done that. He coached college ball. He went to Quinnipiac. Been there, done that. His real dream in life at this stage. And not even to be on, although, Thomas, I don't know if you saw it, and people on Facebook loved it. During the women's Final Four, did you see Coach Young on TV sitting up there with the gang from ESPN? He was up there on the TV.
I missed that.
You missed it. We'll tweet it out for everybody that missed it.
Coach, I missed your big moment.
Man,
he was on ESPN. They were congratulating him on Facebook and everything.
I must have got 94 messages congratulating me. Didn't know you're leaving.
I think I might have seen something on Twitter come through.
Yeah. Oh, my God. The people. Then I said it was Matt Hatfield's April Fool's joke.
It was my April Fool's joke. Andy Landers looks just like you. It is scary.
Those people were livid. They were ready to lynch you, and I'm like, no, let Matt have some fun. It's okay.
Listen, one of my own family members. This is Thursday this week. Okay, we're talking about 10 days after April Fool's. That's pretty cool. Coach got to be on the women's Final Four. I didn't know he followed women's college basketball like that. I was like, that was posted on April 1st. They actually thought it was you.
Yeah, I had a lot of people congratulating me, and we didn't know you gave up coaching. You kept things secret. Blah blah. Best of luck to you. Oh my God, it was crazy, but. No, I didn't get a chance to get up in there, and that was Matt Hatfield shenanigans. This is, again, what I have to put up, and the money they pay me just ain't worth it.
Listen, it was one of my all-time great April Fool's jokes. I was bound to get somebody. I got home, put on the women's Final Four, and I was like, oh, I've got it right here. The coach is sitting there. I'll send you a picture of it, Thomas. You can actually tweet it out and see if the ESPN people still think on our ESPN Radio 941, if they still think it is him. I'm telling you, it's spot on. Spot on for the coach.
Well, he should have me on there. Once again, for the 47th year in a row, my women's bracket destroyed my men's bracket. How come the women are so easy to pick? I missed 8 games total.
So you had Baylor winning the whole thing?
No, I had Notre Dame over. Oh, okay. Notre Dame beat UConn, right?
They beat them in the No. Yeah, they beat them in the national semis.
In the Final Four.
Yeah, national semis.
I had UConn actually coming from behind and beat Notre Dame and Baylor. I think.
So you had UConn. So you went super chalky.
Yeah.
This wasn't your typical UConn team.
But they were number 2. Notre Dame and Baylor are both ones. You have to pick some kind of. The women are so
You don't
easy
have
to
to.
pick.
It doesn't say. There's no law.
The women are all playing home games. The favorite teams are all at home. I don't know who came up with that crazy idea.
Well, they were in Tampa, by the way. Oh, by the way, speaking of pictures, too, we got to give a shout-out to our man Mark Butts at First Colonial, longtime basketball coach and outstanding art teacher, too. He did a drawing. We'll tweet this out, too, drawing sketch of us. You know, Coach has been wanting to put up, and I'm telling you, we're going to use some form of this, and we'll figure out a way to compensate Coach Butts. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll figure out a way.
Give him a free shirt.
We'll give him a free shirt. We're going to use some portion of that sketch, and then maybe go to our shirt guy to spice it up with some little jazzy graphics, too. I tell you what, he did a fantastic job. It's up on the Twitter page, or on the Facebook page. We'll tweet it out as well. So there you have it. We're going to take a quick timeout, 757-687-9494. Come on back. We have the one and only most loyal caller in America scheduled to join us. We have Michael Vick coming up too, Danny Mitchell. It's going to be a jam-packed, fun show of high school sports talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on your home for sports, high school, college, and pro. What is it?
ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on ESPN Radio 94.1. It's High School Sports Talk with the coach, Ed Young, Matt Hatfield here. Thomas Simmons, other side of the glass. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. Brought to you by the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament. The PIT's turning up on Wednesday night at Churchland High School, running through next Saturday, the 20th of April. Couple of home runs last night for a local product, Ed, out of Nansemond River High School. Brandon Lau, the Tampa Bay Rays, trying to run away from your New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox and take that AL East. We had on the show just 2 weeks ago ESPN Major League Baseball analyst Tim Kirchin, and here's what he told us about Brandon Lau. We hope.
Interesting player. Well, Brandon Lau is a really interesting player because he just got a big contract for almost a completely unproven player. But this is also very good for baseball, I believe, where teams like the Rays are saying, this guy can hit, this guy can play multiple positions, and this guy's character level is so high that this is the kind of guy that we want to keep around. But the only way to do that, to keep him away from arbitration and free agency, is to sign him long term. So he's an integral part of a very interesting team there, and they have interchangeable pieces, especially in the infield, and Brandon Lau's right in the middle of that, and I expect him to have a very productive season and live up to that contract because that kid can hit.
5.5 game lead for Lau and the Rays over the next closest team, your Yankees, at 5-8. That is the biggest division lead of all the teams in Major League Baseball. Cleveland in the AL Central, Seattle atop the AL West. The Mets a half a game up on Thomas's Phillies in the NL East. The Brewers half a game up on the Cardinals in the NL Central, and the Padres 2 games up on the Dodgers. It is extremely early, but one, how happy are you for Brandon Lau? And two, the Yankees have 12 players injured. Who's hurt more? That should be our poll question today, as the coach is dealing with a knee that has been bothering. I don't know how you coached the last part of the year with your knee that's been all jacked up. Who's hurt more, the Yanks or Coach Young? Who's in more pain?
I tell you what, if they're more pain than me, then I'm sorry for them because my left knee is just about obliterated.
12 guys is half the team, though.
Yeah, 12 guys. Yeah, it's half a squad, 4 starters. And they're still in the mix. For Brandon Lau, ecstatic. Hope he wins the MVP award. I know it's a lot of pressure. I'm not worried about Tampa Bay as a team. I'm worried about the Red Sox. So check back with me end of July, and we'll see where people are at that point. But I'm going to tell you what, Tampa Bay is very legit, very legit. I don't think I gave them enough respect when we did our overs and unders, but that team is very legit, and they're just a hard-charging bunch. No real superstar in that team, and they have pitching. That's the whole key. And it's amazing the Yankees are keeping up with all the injuries they have. 12 guys on a DL, and I think 4 of them starters. So it'll be interesting. But I'm more worried about the Red Sox than I am Tampa.
I am worried about your knee, though. I hope it does feel better.
My knee is it is torn meniscus is what I have, both sides of the left knee, and cartilage, some cartilage damage in there too. But I'm trying to get under the knife as soon as possible because it is hard to do anything with this knee.
That's not something you hear very often. I'm trying to get under the knife. Yeesh. Well, I feel for you.
I want to get it fixed, and I think that's the only way I can do it. So
I would trade places with you. Well, I wouldn't quite go that far, but I do feel for you. 757-687-9494 is the number to chime in here on the program. High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. Who do you think is our first caller today?
Let me think.
Give you three guesses.
I'm going to say take two, move the one over here, subtract 4, add 3, and you'll come up with Keith.
No, it's Bobby and Roanoke. I'm playing it as Keith in Smithfield. Keith, how you doing?
How you doing this morning, man? How y'all doing this morning?
Don't worry, Bobby from Roanoke hung up. He was on hold. You survived. You're first.
We make sure you're number one.
Yeah.
Yes,
Don't take a hike.
Also, watch out for them Southampton Indian boys baseball team, man. They exploding the ball. They're exploding the bat already. They're exploding that bat.
Well, Keith, you know the Southampton Indians baseball team is in action today at Harbor Park against the Kings Fork Bulldogs, 3:30. Gates open at 3. Are you going to be there and also support the Norfolk Tides and take in the post-game fireworks extravaganza?
I'm gonna try to head out there. I'm thinking about heading out there to see them boys play. And that's my former school. I got to be there to support them guys, man. And I used to play baseball. I used to play my baseball at Southampton too.
All right, I want a Keith selfie with Riptide and or Triton. Isn't that the other mascot, Triton?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I want a Keith selfie with either Riptide or Triton. You make that happen, Keith?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I want to see Keith in the dugout.
If you didn't see Southampton play, they got some power from top to bottom, man.
Do they?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, then, they can make a real run at this in Class 3. We mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Last year, going out early, I believe it was York that knocked them out, as I said, into playoffs early. But they should get a good seed because they've been piling up the wins. And I'm expecting Southampton to be right there come early June, battling for a spot to go to the region championship and go to the state playoffs, Keith. It was in fact York that beat them 5-2 last year, the 7 seed, knocking off the 2 seed. Parkview was the 1 seed. They lost in the semis to Hopewell. It was Hopewell beating York in a championship 5 versus a 7 seed. I think Southampton's going to get a top seed. Now it's just a matter of not getting upset early.
Yes, sir. The last thing, Hampton and Mansfield, they'll play. They're going to be a shootout against Mansfield and Hampton baseball.
What's that about Mitchell and Hampton baseball?
They ain't played yet. They're gonna play twice. They ain't played yet. They're gonna play twice this year. They're gonna be all battle. I'm
showing April 23rd, which is a week from this Tuesday, and April 25th, which is in a couple of Thursdays.
Back to back.
Yeah, back to back. That's what I'm showing here, and we'll chat about it with Danny Mitchell coming up. He's the head baseball coach of the Hampton Crabbers, and you never know, we might just do some fact or fiction, dust off the cobwebs and bring it out of the closet against to Coach Young, since they both like to say that I conspire for them to lose. They can't lose against each other; they can only tie. So,
Keith, I got to ask you, what position you play when you played high school baseball?
I play a little bit of center field and second base.
Center field, second base. All right, can you turn a double play pretty good?
Yeah, I tried. I did what the coach told me to do, and I did an outstanding job. And I pulled it. I threw the ball to my first baseman. He called it. We didn't double play.
Well, what kind of hitter were you? Slap hitter, bunters, long term? What'd you do?
I can punt. I can hit it out there. The center field can't get a home run. I hit to center field and got some singing and double a little bit.
All right, so you moved the runners along. All right, good job.
Yes, and also the last thing, for my Packers. Is doing an outstanding job at Norfolk State. Dante Brown, y'all might not know him. He played for Smithfield last year. He played ball at Norfolk State.
Is he as college baseball?
He played college baseball at Norfolk State.
All right. Well, we can. We got Danny Mitchell coming up. His son Matthew Mitchell's an assistant baseball coach at Norfolk State. So maybe we get Coach Mitchell's take. I know he was spending last night, according to his Facebook, over at the Norfolk State baseball game, watching the double dip as they took home a couple of wins. So maybe we'll get his take on some of the local products and how they've been recruiting the area too.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a nice day.
All right, thank you, Keith. The one and only Keith from Smithfield with us here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. We'll hear from Danny Mitchell around 11:20 or so this morning here on the program. We got an interview coming up a little bit later with Debbie White, one of the Virginia Sports Hall of Famers, part of that great class with Wendy Larry, Reuben Brown, and so many others. And Michael Vick scheduled to join us next, the 4-time Pro Bowl quarterback out of Newport News. The Michael Vick Teen Center unveiled yesterday. That's coming your way next. You can follow us on Twitter at HS Sports Talk 941. That's HS Sports Talk 941. And give us a holler, as the kids say, at 757-687-9494. Anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, we'll take your calls, your comments, questions, suggestions right here at 757-687-9494, and your home for sports. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to high school sports talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back here on ESPN Radio 94.1, joined by a special guest back in his old stomping grounds in the 757, 4-time Pro Bowl quarterback out of Newport News, now a studio analyst for Fox Sports. You saw him dazzle at Warwick High School and Ferguson High School, then with the Virginia Tech Hokies in the NFL. The Atlanta Falcons took them on the doorstep of a Super Bowl, and now the new Michael Vick Teen Center in Newport News. And here to talk with us about it is Michael Vick on ESPN Radio 94.1. Michael, thank you for joining us. How's the spring going for you so far?
Spring has been good. Spring is always good. I love this time of the year.
Well, great.
Play a lot of golf.
Get to play a lot of golf. What you shooting out there on the links these days?
I played yesterday. I beat some of my rivals that I play with all the time. But yeah, I'm shooting like low 80s right now. Should be in the 70s pretty quickly.
Not too shabby.
The weather break. No doubt.
Yeah. Well,
that's something I aim for.
I can see a Michael Vick golf classic in the future. But tell us how this all came about, the Michael Vick Teen Center at the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula, as well as what it means to you to team up with the Boys and Girls Club with this newly renovated Teen Center bearing your name.
Yeah, well, I went back to the Boys and Girls Club about 6 months ago, and, you know, when you go back to your old neighborhood, or you go to a place where you grew up and you know people and you just want to check in and say hi. You know, I just looked at the surroundings and felt like a lot of things needed to be done. You know, I know it's upkeep over the years, but I felt like it could, use a new look and, just start putting some ideas together. I know, the way to keep kids coming in and out of the Boys and Girls Club is to continue to make it so that they want to come in and out and want to be there. The people are incredible, but I think it just needed a makeover. And, that's what I aimed for. That's what I set out to do. And now we got the Mike Vick Teen Center where, another place where kids can go in and hang out and learn and want to be a part of the Boys and Girls Club moving forward and want to be there when they might not have nowhere else to go. So it was important to me when I was young. It helped me. I benefit from it, and I'm very thankful that I was able to have an opportunity to give back and do that again.
Hey, Mike, Ed Young here. Congrats on the Teen Center with bearing your name now, and you've always been giving back. You've always done well every step of the way. High school, college, pro. You've been outstanding in what you've done, and coming back as a high school coach myself. It's when I see you guys coming back and helping out the youngsters, it's a tremendous thing to do. At this unveiling, a lot of youngsters there. Let me ask you, let's go back in time. Did you think of yourself coming up, growing up, high school, middle school, high school? What was that like to you in terms of watching those youngsters look at your dedication? Being in their shoes once, the Boys and Girls Club used to bring people who were successful in our community in this part of Virginia out. I remember Sweet Pea Whitaker coming by. I remember Bruce Smith coming, one Saturday. And, just the conversations they had with us, the way they talked about giving back and being role models if we ever got in their position. I never forgot about that. And to be on the other side and taking a different stance on it, just so grateful. And, I was very excited, but my family, my mom, my brother, my sisters, they was even more excited. And, so you never know what that role model definition would be. But, I've learned over the years what it takes. And, I'm doing it so that, when one of those kids who were out there yesterday, becomes successful in their own right,
then they have the ambition down the road to give back and continue to help out in the community and help other people.
We're chatting with the Newport News native, 2010 NFL Comeback Player of the Year, and the former 4-time Pro Bowl quarterback Michael Vick here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1 about the unveiling of the newly renovated Teen Center at the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula. Michael now on television, as you see quite a bit on Fox Sports, analyzing football games. And Michael, what did you share with the young kids? Because nobody knows it better than you growing up as a teenager in Newport News, Virginia, that you can tell our listeners about.
Well, I told him yesterday, listen, everything for me started with a dream. And, the more I watched football growing up, the more I wanted to pursue that dream and play professional football. That was my profession. I wanted that to be my occupation. More so than anything, I had to reiterate, just have some type of dream, have a goal, something that you can work towards, because every day counts as far as getting to the final destination. And, you can't do it, not being accountable. You can't do it not, being respectful. You can't do it without the mentors and people around you. You need help. You're going to need people to lean on. So I wanted them to have a goal, have a focus, a purpose in life, and work towards it, because, it's a long journey. But that journey takes a lot of hard work in between. So share some of my experiences about working hard and sacrifices I made, and try to let them know that they're going to have to do the same thing at some point in their decision making.
Hey, Michael, you've been around. 4 teams in the NFL, played a high level. A lot of athletes have come out of this area, you being one of them, and probably a lot more coming.
Yeah.
In all your travels, we've had other guys come on here and talk about, as people say, oh, you're another one of them 757 guys. What makes this place unique with so many athletes in different pro sports?
I don't know. I think we all watch one another. We all try to emulate each other's game. So many guys who've made it, you can go on YouTube or you can Google highlights and you can see where they're from and the type of work that they put in over the years. And, that's just kind of what we breathe. We know football out here, and, you look at the players that's come out of here, you got to give more credit to the people who coached them and the people who brung them along, because it's not just us, being able to get up and, for me, going to play for the Boys and Girls Club and, getting to know my high school coach. I was introduced to these people by, my cousin Aaron Brooks. And so you got to give credit to the people who put the time and effort in for the kids too. So the coaches, the mentors, they deserve a lot of credit. But, we just, we learn quick. We are very athletic, and we see how far we can go every time, you cut on the TV and you see one of us playing in the NFL and the NBA. We got game, and we're proud of that. We're proud to, go across the country and telling people where we're from, and everywhere we go, people acknowledge the talent that we put out over the years.
Michael, you mentioned mentors, high school coaches. You played for a character, a guy that we love on his show. He comes on, he's always dropping knowledge on us, and he speaks extremely highly of you. Give us some stuff about Tommy Riemann.
Oh, man, Coach Raymond's spirit is what makes him not only a great coach, but a great man. Over the years, he's learned patience. When he had me when I was young, he, took the time to develop me and, didn't rush it. It was like he could predict the future and things that was going to happen. I think his greatest quality is protecting his kids that come through his program. And, he always finds a way to, put him in school, find a college, that a kid may be able to attend. Might not have the grades, but he'll have a junior college that can be another alternative if they're not going to Division I schools. And he puts in the time and the effort to make sure that kids go to school, they get their education. If they don't go on and play in the NFL or the NFL, because that's not destined for everyone. Those percentages, but and he does it without wanting anything in return. And I think that's why he's been blessed to be around great players and great people. And that's why he's still coaching to this day.
Chatting with Michael Vick, the former four-time Pro Bowl quarterback and Newport News native, here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Michael threw for 4,800-plus yards and 43 touchdowns under Tommy Reamon, along with over 1,000 yards rushing, starring at Ferguson and Warwick High School, here on ESPN Radio 94.1, chatting about the newly renovated Teen Center at the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula, where he donated televisions, Xbox, boards, games, and so much more for the teenagers to use. And Michael, now that you're done playing the sport that you dazzled in at the highest level, how often do you reminisce back to those early high school days where really, I think in that 90s frame where yourself and Ronald Curry and some others, there were just so many talented players over on the peninsula. How much do you reminisce about those days and what comes to mind for you?
Reminisce a little bit. Occasionally I might catch a game on like one of the local channels that they air from those times. But you know, that time in my life is what made me who I was. I was just recollecting on how I became, how I started wearing the number 7, you know, how that came about and how, you know, when I put that jersey on, that number 7 on my jersey in high school, when I put that jersey on my back, how I became a different player, how I felt different. So, yeah, those times were great, man. It taught me how to be a competitor. Going against Ronald Curry, you know, year after year, and, you know, trying to chase him and pattern my game after his and learning from him. You know, just good times, man. So when I think back on it, you know, I try to share those experiences with other high school players on what it was like for me and what I did. And, you know, it wasn't a crazy regimen, but it was enough to get me through.
Michael, tell us about why number 7.
I don't know why. You know, I was having some bad practices. I was wearing number 1 for about 3 weeks once I switched from Warwick to Ferguson. From Ferguson to Warwick, wearing number 1. I felt like I was going to look like Ronald Curry out there. I looked at one of my best friends, and he was wearing number 7. His name was Andre Harrison, playing receiver. And we switched jerseys, and I was just a different player. It was like I became dynamic. I became elusive. I became more confident. I believed in myself. It was something about looking down and just seeing that number on my jersey made me feel like, you know, I was John Elway and a combination of a bunch of other quarterbacks. So it was a really cool feeling, and couldn't have happened at a better time in my life. That was my junior year in high school.
Michael, take a high school football player out there, perhaps one that was at the Teen Center yesterday or will be at the Teen Center. Things are a bit different from when you were coming up with social media and technology now. Players film so readily available on Huddle. How would you tell them to handle the recruiting attention, A, and then B, the media attention? You're now a media personality out there. How would you tell them to handle those things going forward?
Yeah, well, times are different. You know, they're recruiting different these days. More access to the kids. They're more accessible. You know, you just got to find a way to balance it all out, which is not easy because it becomes overwhelming when you got letters coming from some of your favorite schools that you might have dreamed of, you know, playing for when you're young. And then, you know, when you look at it, you know, some of these scouts that are recruiting, they're ravenous. They put a lot of pressure on these kids to make decisions, and you know, you got to take it all into account. You know that, you know, some situations aren't the best situations, or some teams aren't the best. You got to go with what school fits you. And you know, I'm so far removed from that. You know, day and time, but I hear about it. But it's pretty cool for the kid, man. It shouldn't be that much of a concern, or it shouldn't be that much of a burden. You know, when you're getting recruited by schools that want you to come and play for them and give you a free scholarship and a way to just continue your education and, you know, find an occupation. So, you know, I just express to them to enjoy it most of all.
Couple more minutes here with Michael Vick, the former Pro Bowl quarterback, on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. The unveiling of the newly renovated Teen Center at the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula yesterday, bearing Michael Vick's name as we chat about Michael Vick, the player, and now moving forward. Mike, your legacy as a player, what do you think it is, and what do you want it to be now in your post-playing career?
Well, you know, my legacy is my legacy. Whatever I left behind, I left it all out on the field. I had fun playing. I enjoyed it. It was worth it. It was worth the sacrifice and in my life. And, now moving forward, I get a chance to talk football, and that's just as exciting. Wake up on Sundays feeling the same way, excited to go do my job and, research it during the week. And, so post-career, I want to continue to keep this going and stay connected to football. And that's my life. That's what I've been involved in and why I changed it.
Michael, I got to ask you, I watched the NFL last year. Quarterbacks were going down injured left and right, and some teams were signing guys that hadn't thrown a pass in 2-3 years. I got to ask you, did anybody call Mike Vick and say, hey, look, we can use you? And can Mike Vick go out there right now and do a job for an NFL team?
No, I'm removed from the game. I love watching it. Played 13 years. I enjoyed it. I think about going back to play. But that's just me as a competitor. In my mind, mentally, you think you can do it, but maybe you can, maybe you can't. But it's not something that I think about. I love what I'm doing now. I love being home with my family and being able to sit back and think about what might be next in my life. And I enjoy watching those young guys go out there and get it in on Sundays, man, because I live that life and I have fun with it, and now I get to root for them.
Okay, then as a coach, I got to ask you, you got a lot of knowledge. You've been through a lot, been very successful. And you even did a little bit of coaching. Maybe down the road, back into some coaching, whether it be high school, college, pro level, or would you rather just work with kids here and there?
I'd rather work with kids here and there. I might start my own quarterback academy, something that's going to be special. I do have plans down the road, but I can't unveil that. Can't reveal it. I think, I just live in the moment, enjoy what's in front of me now, and still going to coach quarterbacks, periodically.
Well, I know one thing. Tommy Riemann calls you. He would always wouldn't mind having you as a quarterback coach for him on that sideline. Instead of under him, you'd be with him.
Yeah, if he needs some help, I'd be more than glad to help him out. I do it anyway.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for the time this morning, and congrats on the newly renovated teen center bearing your name. I know that means a whole lot to you, and great to see you give back to the community. Thank you so much. Keep in touch, and we'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right, man. I'll be good.
Thanks, Michael. Good luck to you.
Michael Vick, the Newport News native and former 4-time Pro Bowl quarterback, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Great to see him donating new televisions, board games, Xbox, and so much more at the new Michael Vick Teen Center in Newport News. And I think that's what makes Ed, the 757 area code, so fabulous to see all these pros, the unity, and just the giving back to the community as well. Really great to see them make a difference beyond their playing career as Michael's doing now.
I mean, Allen Iverson, Michael Vick up in the Peninsula, and there's many more. And, guys down here that have done it on this end, too, on this side of the water. Just tremendous of them to do that, because that's the one thing I always like to see a pro guy do is come back to your hometown, not your college town necessarily or the cities you played in, but to your hometown, where you grew up, and going back and giving those kids more hope that they someday they could be that next type of athlete.
So if you missed the Michael Vick interview, just tuned in late, we'll have it up for you later on our podcast page on ESPNRadio941.com. Still coming up, we got Debbie White, her interview, and Danny Mitchell, the Hampton Crabbers, unblemished to our knowledge, and we'll see if that remains with fact or fiction. Hampton Roads' favorite game show. It's coming your way on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Okay, welcome back to High School Sports Talk here on ESPN Radio 94.1. I'm the coach, Ed Young. My partner, Matt Hatfield, had the opportunity to attend the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame last weekend, and Matt caught up with longtime Old Dominion Administrator Debbie White. Let's hear it now on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on ESPN Radio 94.1, joined by a special guest. She is going into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame for the class of 2019, along with Jeff Burton, Wendy Larry, Mark Lindsay, Heath Miller, Buster O'Brien, and Tom Yeager. And you know her from Old Dominion University, where she had numerous roles in sports information and communications. Started out, though, as a sports writer for the Daily Press, first full-time female sports writer. We say congrats on going into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame to Debbie White. Debbie, how are you? And congratulations.
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Let's start there. Your first notoriety, first female sports writer in Virginia with the Daily Press back in the late 1970s. When you embarked on that journey, what did you know then and what do you know now after doing it?
Oh, geez, nothing. I was a journalism major in college, and my father was a college football coach, and I thought, well, I'd hung around him enough that I picked up things and thought I might like to write about sports. So sports writing seemed to be the natural progression, and so off to the Daily Press I went, just 2 weeks after graduation.
What was the best part of that job? And I'm sure you've got a lot of stories you could tell from covering sports back then, and some of the biggest changes you've seen from then to now and just the area in general.
The best stories. I mean, the people I had the rural high schools, as we say, and they were just so excited to have a reporter come to their games because it didn't happen with regularity. So they treated us just wonderful. But the biggest difference is the technology. I mean, I was carting around a portable typewriter and a fax machine with a long extension cord, and now you could do it on your phone and you could file it. So. That's the biggest change, and I'm envious of that, that I missed some of that, but although we do it now. So
yeah, there's probably pluses and minuses to all the
there is.
Covering prep sports, and it's become such a big part of this area, not having the major professional sports teams, and of course you make that move to Old Dominion. What drew you to ODU?
Well, I'm from Virginia. I was at Siena College in upstate New York. I kind of wanted to get back to my roots. The opening was there. It was primarily with women's basketball, and a lot of people think, well, that must have been a natural. I really hadn't been around women's basketball. And to land at ODU in '79 with Nancy Lieberman and Ann Donovan and Ing Nissen, holy moly, I mean, what a pleasure, privilege, and an education that was for me.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone there earlier who was talking about how they went to Old Dominion, they didn't even quite grasp just the gravity of what Lieberman and the late great Ann Donovan and Marianne Stanley, who Wendy Laramie just spoke with, talked about. And then watching what Wendy did after Marianne Stanley, I mean, to follow up a legend and be legendary, it's got to mean a lot to go into this Hall of Fame with her, right?
Oh, well, it means the world. I mean, it really does. I mean, we've had a lot of miles together, and I have such great admiration and respect for what she did at Old Dominion. I mean, to win 17 straight conference championships is an unbelievable feat that will stand for many, many years. And just a privilege for me to go in with her. We're
chatting with one of the newest members of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. That's Debbie White here on ESPN Radio 94.1, longtime sports information director at ODU, and, of course, got started in the high school sports realm with the Daily Press back in the 1970s. Watching what that Old Dominion team did, following up the greats of Donovan and Lieberman and so many others, what Wendy Larry accomplished, and that time of women's basketball and the sport in general, that really, I think, put Old Dominion on the map, didn't it?
Oh, I think it did. I mean, there's always people who like to beg to differ, but it certainly gave us some national exposure that we didn't have. And, I mean, I can still go places, even nowadays, and with people of a certain age, if they see I've got an ODU hat on or something, they say women's basketball. They just remember it. And yet it was 30, 35, 40 years ago that we were really on the map and winning those great championships.
And seeing some other sports come along, the men's basketball program. I mean, field hockey's got its accomplishments to go down, the baseball. Football, you've watched football come back to Old Dominion. What's that been like for you as your tenure there at ODU came to a close? What was that like?
That was truly another highlight for me. Again, as I said, I'm the daughter of a football coach, so having football resurrected, if you will, on our campus was just an incredible, thing to work with. And the day they ran out of that tunnel on September, whatever that date was, 4th, I think it was just incredible for me and for all the people who had worked so hard to put that program together.
A couple more minutes here with Debbie White, the ODU great, going into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame here on ESPN Radio 94.1. You also served on NCAA and U.S. Olympic committees. I know we don't have enough time to go through all the details of that, but kind of take us behind the scenes a little bit, what that experience taught you and what it was like for you.
Well, I really wouldn't have even been on those committees had it not been for what we were doing at ODU. I mean, I think our work with women's basketball, certainly the success of our men's teams, helped catapult me into those committees, which were wonderful. But that just gave us a greater sense of being connected with other people across the country, a lot of movers and shakers. I think it helped ultimately in helping us get awarded some NCAA tournaments. We hosted so many events at ODU through the years. So it's all about connections, but ODU put me in that position. Otherwise, I would not have been.
And speaking with so many coaches, the thing I always ask them is, what's your favorite memory or moment? They always talk about the relationships they built, even more than the games or that player or so forth. For you, in a different role, but also being close to them, is that same true?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm asked that all the time. It's difficult. You can't name one, but you can certainly name people and the great athletes and the coaches and the administrators and my staff members. The relationships are what make your career and what you miss to the most, I think, after you're gone.
That's true, Fernanda. Thank you for your time. What have you been most surprised about in your career? Be it involving athletics or even just away from it? Because you've been involved with so many different things. Anything really just surprised you that, wow, I didn't see that coming?
I didn't see technology doing what it's doing now. I think the biggest surprise for me is probably the emergence of social media and how it has changed communications totally. I mean, back in my day, we would plan to do a press release and you'd pick the time and you try to keep it secret. There's no secrets anymore. One person tells somebody it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram. So that to me has been the biggest change, but I also think it's been a good one. I think it makes communications field work a little harder. You've got to be more aware of what's going on out there in the world, and you got to be able to work social media to your advantage.
I think some of the older people are against it, and I get it because it wasn't there when they started, but in today's day, if you're covering teams or you're involved with teams in athletics, if you're not using it, you're left behind.
Oh, absolutely. I tell people one of the funniest things was my closing years at ODU, I was on the field twittering, if that's even a verb. Tweeting. And it's a lot like a throwback to early journalism. You're just doing little mini stories and punching them out and hope that you're beating somebody before they know it, before you do.
Well, and you were working with the Daily Press, and I own VirginiaPreps.com. I think the new thing for a lot of companies and publications is how can you turn this into revenue as opposed to just putting out the breaking news. Last one, and thank you for your time. I could speak with you all day. Debbie White here going into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, our guest on ESPN Radio 94.1. What's Debbie White up to these days?
I work part-time, 3 days a week for the Atlantic 10 Conference over in Newport News. My husband and I built a home in Williamsburg 2 years ago, so I keep my fingers in it, but I still get a 4-day weekend, and I still get to kind of ease into this whole retirement thing.
Hey, you're never fully retired.
No, I don't think anybody ever is, yes.
Well, congratulations on a well-deserved accomplishment and a great career. Debbie White with us here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was Debbie White, longtime administrator over at Old Dominion University, got her start covering high school sports for the Daily Press with us last weekend at the VIP Celebrity Dinner before the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame induction last week over there at the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. Great to chat with her, Ed, and part of a stellar class when you look at some of the people that went in, along with Ruben Brown, who we played that interview last week, along with Wendy Larry and Tom Yeager and Jeff Burton and Mark Lindsay, who passed away years ago. Buster O'Brien, the excellent quarterback in the late 1960s from Princess Anna High School in Virginia Beach, and just a terrific class of people going into the hall. And you're helping out with the A10, so still staying very active. You never fully retire. Not people such as her that have her fingerprints all over sports in general across the 757 and through Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, Debbie's done a tremendous job at Old Dominion. Very vibrant, active. She had enough years to retire at Old Dominion. It wasn't that she was tired of the job and wanted to change. So I'm not surprised she's still working. I'm surprised Atlantic 10 doesn't try to grab her 10 hours a day because she has a lot of knowledge.
By the way, you know who left the A10 recently? Matt Doherty. I wonder if he's going to get back into coaching. It came out about a week or two ago. Former UNC coach.
I don't think Matt would go back into coaching. I would see him doing something with the pros, maybe some scouting.
Okay. Maybe
a director of ops with somebody. By the way, who's the latest NBA coach fired? Didn't we have like 3 in a row?
Was about last night?
4 in a row, like
yesterday? A lot. Yeah, there's a lot of coaches to get in the axe. Who the Lakers going to hire? You going to put him for that job, Ed? Who the Lakers coach? You don't want to be part of that, do you?
Knowing that Luke Walton hadn't done any coaching since November because of a certain individual, I would have no shot in the world.
Yeah.
The Lakers got to get a strong personality head coach. Doc Rivers would be tremendous. And
he's not leaving a Clipper for the Lakers right down the street.
Clippers
got a better situation.
And
they got Jerry West.
As a great man once said, don't be surprised.
All right. Dropping scoopage and knowledge.
It won't be Monty Williams and Tyronn Lue. Are you kidding me? Wasn't he assistant for LeBron James before?
Oh, that's a dig right there. 1 hour's in the books, another hour to go. Danny Mitchell will join us from the Hampton Crabbers in a bit, and we'll take your phone calls too. Let's hear from you at 757-687-9494. Anything in the world of sports you want to talk about? High school sports, our specialty, right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Matt Hatfield here to Coach Ed Young. Thomas Simmons, our producer-engineer. If you missed Hour 1 with Michael Vick, the former Pro Bowl quarterback, discussing the Michael Vick Teen Center with the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula, and an interview with Debbie White, longtime ODU administrator and former Daily Press sports writer. You can check it out later on the archive on VirginiaPreps.com, and also give us a follow on Twitter, ESPN Radio 941, HS Sports Talk 941. Phone lines are open at 757-687-9494. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. We go to the phones and speak with Kevin in Newport News. Kevin, what's going on?
The rain is washing the pollen away, finally. It's a beautiful
yes,
thing.
It's great to see.
I did 2 softball games this week as an umpire, and I'm glad to see it go. But anyway.
You and me both.
I wanted to ask you both about Tony Bennett. He likes a certain type of player in his program, but obviously recruiting-wise, this national championship is going to just cause so much more attention, and I think maybe some high-profile recruits. He doesn't want the one-and-dones, but what are your thoughts on how recruiting will be changing for UVA? And I'll take the comments off the air.
Thank you, Kevin, and a lot of excited Wahoo fans out there with the national championship. What do you think, Ed? Will the championship change recruiting? We actually posed that a little bit to Kyle Getter earlier this week on the 757 at 6. If you missed that, go check it out on our podcast page on ESPN Radio 941. You know, for some, I don't know how much the perception is going to change the reality that they won the national championship. And quite honestly, some of the perception of, well, they play a boring, methodical style. It's not exciting. I think bottom line is they win, and they have developed more NBA guys than you realize. I mean, all you need to do is look at Justin Anderson, Malcolm Brogdon, Mike Scott. So while it's not considered the one-and-done paving ground, if you want to say that, for a Duke, Kentucky, you can get to the pros out of UVA.
Definitely make the pros at UVA. They have enough guys in. UVA doesn't have that kind of pattern that Kentucky has. Duke, Carolina, none of that. When you think of Virginia basketball, it's kids that go to class, smart kids. Virginia is a tough school to get into. Not down in the other places. Duke, same way. But its reputation is they're a kind of an afterthought for the national kid, because they're not an afterthought, period. That's ACC basketball. National championship puts them on par with anybody that's won a national title. But let's go back in history. There's a lot of teams that won a national title you forget.
Arkansas.
Okay. Arkansas has been down lately, got a new coach coming in now.
Eric Musselman from Nevada.
And he'll do some things there. But it allows you to get in the door more. There'll be more kids they can get a door with. There'll be more kids that will have Virginia as one of their top 5, and probably a year or two ago wouldn't. Doesn't mean that's where they're going to go. There's a lot more layers to it than just, well, we want a title. And Virginia's not sitting back thinking, well, we want a title now. We'll be in with every kid. Because Virginia's not going to do some of the, I guess my favorite word, shenanigans that other programs will do.
That's an Ed Young favorite right there, folks.
And I'm going to leave it at that. Let's talk nice.
Shenanigans.
Okay? Let's talk nice. Give me soundbite for shenanigans.
We'll figure it out. Thomas is doing the phone
okay?
right now.
Tony Bennett, which leads me into this. I was so happy for Tony Bennett. I don't know him personally. Met him once. Tremendous coach. Better person. Legit. Real. Just like his dad, Dick Bennett, was when he coached. He deserves that. There's a lot of guys that have national titles that don't deserve them in any shape or form. And I can name names, and a couple of them I know well, but I won't say it out loud.
Well, we both were thoroughly impressed how he handled the defeat last year to UMBC, and it hasn't changed him. You saw him really reiterate that and the United Pursuit message that they kept on, and really it's just been remarkable to watch. To win those 3 games trailing with less than 15 seconds to go and quite honestly, the names they've brought in have been solid players. I mean, Kihei Clark, who they got in from California, 3-star. He's not this ballyhooed 5-star top 50 player in the land, and Ty Jerome and Kyle Guy aren't thought of as mega superstars. Mamadi Diakite out of Blue Ridge was a top 150 to 250, depending on what scouting service you subscribe to, player. But I do think a little bit like Villanova, and Villanova is probably getting a little bit of an upper crust, not quite at the Kentucky UNC Duke level, but probably the very next tier. I do think it does open up some more doors and avenues for UVA. And here in state, they've gotten their share of players. We mentioned Mike Scott. Devin Hall comes to mind, who was on that team a year ago, got drafted by the Oklahoma City Thunder out of Cape Henry Collegiate in Virginia Beach. So I think that to answer Kevin's question, it can only help, not hurt them as they get ready for their celebration today at Scott Stadium. Back to the phones at 757-687-9494, and we chat with, I think another disgruntled Yankee fan like you, our man Demetrius in the Northern Neck. What's going on, Demetrius? Do you still want Aaron Boone fired?
How you doing, guys?
Demetrius, too many injuries. You can't blame it on Boone right now.
Yeah, I hear you, but you know what? I can't blame it on Boone, but I don't like the way the Yankees are coming out the gate so far, but that's another story. I want to get to UVA real quick.
Sure.
You know, you talk about since they won the national title, how would that work for them in terms of recruiting? I think it's going to really work for them, but the thing is, and this is not a knock against any other university, UVA, they are not going to lower their standards. You're going to have to be a certain type of player, athlete, student to get into UVA. And again, that's not a knock against anybody else. But they're just not going to lower their standards. And I think, because I've watched this program over the years, and not just anybody gets in there, even with great talent. So, kudos to UVA. And Tony Bennett, I've always felt, was the most underrated college coach within the last couple of years. So I'm really happy for UVA and the job that they've done. And, hey, but nobody does it better than the dynamic duo this morning between you guys, so I'll take everything off and listen to you.
Thank you, Demetrius. Appreciate it. I mean, it makes for an interesting thought on, when you win a national championship. Villanova won 2 in 3 years, and the one and done hasn't worked for some schools for the most part. Tony Bennett, he is who he is, and people said, "Well, this is before they won the championship. Would UCLA be a job?" I mean, he's not going out to the West. I think the only job that really, when you heard his name rumored for some jobs, was Wisconsin initially for me because of his dad and the connection there.
Yeah, that type of thing. Yeah, he's not impressed by UCLA. He don't need that. And people get on, well, they play slow down. No, they play a winning style. If I can win every game 1-0 and know I'm winning every game 1-0, I win 1-0. I don't need to. I'm not trying to please everybody and lose 105 to 104. I want to win games. I would do whatever it takes to win those games.
Another thought, how much does UVA want to change the recruiting? To be honest, I mean, if it's working. You see, Villanova kind of wins the same way. They don't take a lot of guys who are just freak of nature athletes. They say, we want people who are going to be willing to come play for us for 3 or 4 years, who are, really smart academically, but really smart from a basketball IQ standpoint as well. I think they're just trying to get more guys of that nature, maybe better guys of that nature, but I don't think they're going to be reaching out to Zions and Reddishes and Barrett saying, hey, you want to come play for us for exactly 1 year?
Oh, no,
learn the pack line in 3 months?
That's not their style. That's not their MO, I don't think. And
no, but would Virginia want a Zion? Absolutely. The whole world would. But there's no need to waste a lot of money recruiting.
Yeah, how much are they going to expend going after one still?
Because and the key word is, I said money, because I keep telling you there are shenanigans involved.
Well,
in recruiting.
You're seeing the whole, and it hasn't really blown up yet, but some of the things with Nike and Zion.
And the shoe companies, come on, and agents, come on now.
It is very much. I'll tell you what, I'm curious to find out more than how dramatic effect. I think it only helps recruiting and hurt when you win a championship and the brand gets more national appeal. All that is, I want to see what assistants from his staff become coaches. Richie McKay was there; he was a head coach before that, though. At Liberty, Jason Wolford, I think, out of Richmond, is due for a head coaching job. I think there's some people on his staff that could now move up the ladder a little bit, which tends to happen on championship teams. You see some of the assistants and some of the people behind the scenes putting in some of the legwork. And Tony Bennett is, I think, top notch. He's quieted all the doubters that. We're saying the things about him, and I'll be curious to see any of the big names. Ed, I think the biggest name on the board right now locally as we get ready to go to break here is Mark Williams from Norfolk Academy. Mark Williams, the 7-footer who played in our Virginia Preps Classic this past winter. He took a visit to Stanford, and when you take a visit out to Stanford, that says right there that this is a different kind of kid, because Stanford, you think of them in a lot of ways in that same ilk as UVA and Duke. And we interviewed him at the Classic. He mentioned UVA and Duke, his sister, obviously, Elizabeth Williams, who started at Princess Anne High School. And I'm not saying those are the only three finalists, but I kind of got a feeling it's a 3-team, 3-horse race at the moment. Those three leap to mind. Stanford, if he wants to go far from home, UVA and Duke. And I wouldn't fault him on any of the three choices, because having watched him and what he does defensively and how his game is slowly but surely progressing offensively, I think he's good enough to make an impact at any of those places.
I think so, too. Of course, I'm prejudiced. I want to see him go to UVA, stay in state. I mean, they just won a national title. Come on now. People say, well, I want to go to Duke, win a national title. Well, you can say that
UVA won a national championship, yeah.
Right. Stanford, high academics too, but young fella doesn't even go out.
He was tweeting out pictures, though, with the jersey. So I do think they're more serious than some may believe. I'm not saying that's his favorite at the moment, but his recruiting will be interesting to watch unravel. And by the way, playing for the Boo Williams travel team, we hope to be out there next month for the Hoop Group Southern Jam Fest, one of our favorite events on the calendar each year. Take a time out. We come back. Danny Mitchell of the Hampton Crabbers. He celebrated a birthday yesterday, and his Crabbers keep winning no matter what. It's coming your way next on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to high school sports talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back here on ESPN Radio 94.1, joined by a special guest. His team, one of the top contenders in both Class 5 and the Peninsula District. I believe they're unbeaten at 8-0 overall, having outscored their opponents 84-7 with 5 shutouts. If I'm wrong, he'll correct me. We're talking about our good friend, Coach Danny Mitchell of the Hampton Crabbers. Coach, that right? 8-0 in the season. How you been?
Yeah, well, we're 8-0 right now, and I made another revolution around the sun. Yesterday was my birthday, so everything's going pretty good right now.
Hey, and if I read it on Facebook correctly, great birthday for you. You got a chance to watch Norfolk State, where your son Matthew's an assistant, win both ends of a doubleheader. Dinner at Dumars is great. I hope you got the waffle cone, because it's my favorite. And the wife, Cindy, got you some tickets to see Bob Seger, huh?
Hey, what more could you ask for, man? Bob Seger, man, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Yeah, I'm stoked about that.
That's a better birthday than Ed had last week, I think. Well, maybe. I'm not sure, Ed.
Hey, Danny, good to hear from you again. Congrats on getting around the sun, as I think you put it. And somebody told me I got around there last year, too. I just turned 102, so I feel good for 102. I just got to get my knee fixed.
Yeah, I'm glad to be on, man. It's not baseball season unless I talk to you guys. And I wanted to congratulate you, Ed, on a great season. I mean, it's just nice when, us old guys have a good run like that. I know you enjoyed it, and I know it was a tough loss, but you got to be happy with your season.
No question about it. And as I was saying, I enjoyed my birthday last weekend. I got to see the Yankees win 2 in Baltimore.
Hey, I was up there, man. Have you ever seen 7 home runs in one game by one team? I've never seen that.
No,
when the Sunday game when they beat the Orioles 15-3, and I know that most people are Oriole fans down here, but I've been a Yankee fan since I was about 2, so it was really nice to see them play well in Camden Yards, because a lot of times they don't.
And I am an Oriole fan too. It's just this is not going to be the year for the Orioles, so I'm going to see the Yankees play. And Sanchez belted 3 out, and now he's on a disabled list, and or the injury list, because we're not allowed to use disabled list anymore. But they can hit the ball. It's just like you said, you got to have that pitching and stop getting so many guys hurt.
And it was a beautiful day up there, man. It was just a great day to play baseball.
Now, you were in the stadium that day?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we went up there. We'd gone to watch. What did we do? We had a game, and then we had practice, and it was the last weekend of spring break. So we took off on Sunday morning, went up there and watched the game, and then turned around and came back home.
Wow, you didn't see me limping around?
No, but I saw Mike Keach limping around a little bit. Him and his wife Jill. It was good to see them. Thank God I didn't see Lynn Burke, because I would have hated, seeing Lynn Burke and Mike Keach at the same time. There might have been a fight up there.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, had flashbacks. Yeah, I sat behind a little bit past the third base dugout, about 18th row up.
Man, we had to be real. I was in section, I think 40, right down the third base line, right there.
And I was in 58, so we were close.
Get out of here!
Hey, man, what do you think?
Unbelievable.
Hey, what's the chance on that, brother? What's the chance on that?
Next time you guys should just carpool. Save you some time.
Hey, we'll get you to drive. That'll be
that won't happen. That won't happen.
Danny Mitchell, the head baseball coach of the Hampton Crabbers, here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. And we'll do some fact or fiction. We take a break with him at the end. But let's talk about your baseball team first. So many good players. I want to start with Trey Morgan. We've documented the Morgan family, and before on the program going to VMI. What kind of season is he having and his impact for your team?
You know, I think the thing about Trey, he's a good baseball player. You know, he's better than good. But what's happened to Trey this year? I think he's grown up a lot more than he had been on the baseball field. You know, he takes his leadership role a little bit more seriously, and he's not quick to get excited or get down on himself. And it all comes with maturity. And if you're on the mound, that's one of the things you've got to be able to do. You've got to be able to bounce back from adversity. But yeah, Trey is doing well for us. I mean, anytime he's up, you got a chance to have a big inning, and he's our motor. If he gets on, we're a pretty good baseball team. And
plays variety of roles for you, right? Plays outfield, pitches, does a little bit of everything.
Well, what we did with Trey, we've got another real good pitcher in this kid, Brian McBride, who's an 11th grader, and so we've got some good outfielders. And so this year we were able to bring Trey back to first base. He's so good with the glove. I mean, he's probably saved us 12, 13 times by digging balls out of the dirt. And so we've actually, I think Trey may have played 1 or 2 innings in the outfield, but he's our first baseman, and we alternate him and Brian. One pitches, one plays first base, and it's worked out really good for us.
I want to get your take on that, Coach, because we were talking about a little bit earlier this week on the 757 at 6, and I know you follow baseball at all levels. Ryan Mountcastle, who's going to be a great player in the Orioles organization out with the Tides, we chatted with Pete Mishu last week about making the transition from shortstop to third to first base. How easy do you think a transition is, at that level, and does it have to start at the high school level as you learn positions? Your take on that?
Well, you can really tell a change from a kid that you're trying to move from second base to third base, because you're getting another extra hop at second. There's a little bit more time, and that's what we wanted to do with the McBride kid. He plays shortstop for us. We had another kid, Keyshawn Johnson, who's committed to Paul Camp over there. He's a great athlete, and we play him as shortstop, and we try to keep him as shortstop because it's just so hard for a kid to move from somewhere to a shortstop, because it's, I think that's like playing out in Mars to me, shortstop, because there's just so much stuff that has to be known, and you have to learn it young, I think. But as far as I think it's easier to go from the outfield to one of the corner spots, and I think that's what happens in high school a lot of times. You have great shortstops in high school, but when they get to college, they're going to move to the corner or to the outfield.
Hey, what about any youngsters on your varsity squad right now? I always like to find out who is doing something now that you didn't think would, and kind of is that key ingredient nobody's talking about.
Yeah, we've got a kid like that, and it was our quarterback on the football team, a kid named Max Petrowski, and all summer we traveled with the Swamp Things organization. Mickey Roberts out of Prince George got an organization, and we've been in with it 3 or 4 years, and we travel all over these different colleges. And actually, we had everybody coming back, but we lost an outfielder, a young outfielder, and so we were kind of worried. And Max played last year, but he didn't play a whole lot, but he played all summer, and then he worked all fall in football and played baseball on the weekends, and he's just doing a great job for us. I mean, he's batting .500. He was 11 for 22 with 10 RBIs. And up until Thursday, he's played outfield for us 8 games, and he finally caught a fly ball. It's the first fly out that he's caught in 8 games. And I can't ever remember going 8 games without, an outfielder catching a fly ball. But doggone, he finally got one on Thursday.
That is wild. And your pitching has just been remarkable. I mentioned the stats, 84-7, outscoring your opponents, 5 shutouts. Did you know going in, and you knew you had some solid pieces, that the pitching would be this good this soon? And are you, as a coach, a little bit, superstitious is the right word, but worried like, we just haven't hit that adversity yet?
Well, I knew that we had two kids that we could really count on, Brian McBride and Trey Morgan. I mean, they're 2 horses on the mound. Trey, he's sort of frail, what is he, about 5'8", 5'9", 160, 65 pounds. Brian is like 6'1", 2. He's about 235 pounds. And I knew both of those guys were going to be able to throw all right. and do a good job for us, take us late into the game. But we didn't have anybody, that we were, really sold on until this summer. But we had a kid, Chance Patrick, who was Pat Patrick's grandson over here in Hampton, and Pat's a legend over here, and he passed away last year. But anyway, he's a little junk baller, so it's good for him to come in and out, behind those two guys that are throwing a lot of heat, and he's got a good curveball, he's got a sneaky fastball. But Ed, we're 8-0 with 5 shutouts, but you know what I'm talking about. Our schedule's been conducive for us to get off on a good jump like that. I mean, we did what we had to do. We're out on a good jump, but our schedule was conducive for us to do that.
Well, I see somewhere we talked about your schedule earlier. You got Menchville next week back to back.
Well, that's
after
a good thing
after.
over here. Yeah, the week after we play Kickingham next week, and Menchville the week after that. We started these series over here, which I really, really like. People don't understand, but when you play a baseball schedule the way it used to be, you play it all the way through. Like we played you the third week of the season. Well, we wouldn't play you again until, 2 weeks before the season was over with. And so, you may go 3 years, and if, you may see their number one the whole time, every time. I mean, there's times that I know that I've pitched number ones against, Bethel and Kickingham and, teams that we had to beat because you could look at your schedule and you could arrange it that way. And what we've done now, we've gone more on a college level. I think they used to do it at the beach, but, we're going to play you on Tuesday. You decide who your Tuesday pitcher's going to be. And then we're going to turn around and play again on Thursday. So you're going to see a 1 and a 2. And that's what baseball is all about. It's not about winning one game. It's about, what can you do over the long haul. And I've enjoyed it. I mean, I think it's really, really good for us over here.
Yeah, I like it. It's something I think other districts should probably look into, explore, and possibly adopt. We're chatting with Danny Mitchell, the head baseball coach of the Hampton Crabbers, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. You can go see Coach Mitchell's Crabbers at Danny Mitchell Field coming up on Tuesday against Kickingham. Then they visit them on the 18th next Thursday, and then the big series with Menchville home and away the 23rd of April, the 25th of April. Sort of handicap for us a little bit, this Peninsula District, which is very good yet again, and Class 5 Region A. We saw it a year ago, Coach, with the playoffs, how odd it was in Region 5A. You were one of those teams that got to the semifinals. Menchville won the region over Maury, who ended up advancing after the forfeit pitching rule for Hickory in the semifinal game they had won. It should be very competitive again, I think, quarterfinals and semifinals. Would you not agree?
It's going to be, the Division 5 is going to be competitive. I mean, last year, when we took our 8 top teams, the way they did it in the region, I don't think that the 8th team had but about 5 losses, and some of these regions were getting in, with losing records. So Division 5 right now, as far as in, our Division 5, it's really strong. And you don't know, you don't really know the way they do it. Somebody could be ranked 1 in the region, over there in the southeastern district where they beat the brains out of each other. They're really, really good teams, and they lose a few more games than you do. You might be, you could be the 2 seed, and you could be playing a 6 seed or a 7 seed, and that 7 seed come out of that southeastern district. I'm not really sure that you're better than they are, or vice versa. It's just the playoff. When it comes to playoff times, unless you're playing a Peninsula District team, you really don't know much about what's going on.
Well, Ed, you've seen that in basketball with the 7 and 8 seeds in Region 5A. And then next year, you guys get the great fun of going to, what is it, an 18-19 team region next year in Region 5A? Something of that nature, I believe.
Yeah, I think we're going to 4 or something next year. I don't know. They just tell me what Roman numeral goes behind the division, and that's what we play. But, I don't know what else they could do about it. I know, over here, I guess everybody would say, in Menchville, Gloucester's really, really good, and Kevin always has a great team at Woodside, but they're in Division 6. But I do know one thing, guys. I know that if you start looking at a Menchville series, 2 weeks away, Kickinham's going to beat you behind on Tuesday and Thursday. That's just the way it is over here. And all it takes is, for one of your pitchers just to have a bad day, and they're going to have a bad day. Brian McBride really didn't have his stuff at Bethel until about the 4th inning, but we were late. He kept us in the game. And we finally got going. And I just don't, the guy at Heritage, Toby, he's got Heritage competitive. They're not winning a lot of games, but you don't just walk on the field and beat them anymore. I don't know whether that's to say, maybe we're down in the Peninsula District a little bit, but I think, it's parity, just coming round, and it's a pretty good league over here.
Danny, you mentioned Southeastern District. Every game's a war.
Oh, yeah.
And you bring really credence to that idea. When you get into seeding as coaches, sometimes we really don't care about seeding because, okay, people say, well, that team's seeded 7th, so if you play them. But you don't understand how good that 7th seed has, the season they've had. They lost a lot of tough games, whereas they were playing in a different conference or whatever. Those would all be wins. They'd be a much higher seed. So throw that seeding out the window.
Most definitely. And that's what, but you get people, they read about it in the paper a little bit, and then they hear it online, and, mom and dad and grandma and the neighbors are telling them, how good they are. That's fine. But, when you get back to practice, you better put your game face back on and go back to work because, it's one of two things. You're either chasing somebody or somebody's chasing you. And, you're going to have to sit down and have a battle sooner or later. So, that's the thing about our team. I think we need to be a little bit more hungry. We've had a lot of success with this group of kids. A lot of these kids are playing for their 3rd and their 4th years. This is the first time that we don't have a 9th or 10th grader on our baseball team. We've got a bunch of juniors and we've got, a select few of seniors. But, they have had success in their 10th grade year and a lot of them in their 9th grade year. And so then last year, we were pretty good too. And so this year, I think that's the one thing that we really need to work on is you want a team, guys, that's got a little swag about them. You want them to know that they're good and, they can do something in a situation. You don't want a cocky kid, a mouthy kid, a brash kid, to make you look bad and to make yourself look bad. But when he walks on the field, he's got to have a little bit of swagger about him, and he's got to know that whenever adversity comes on him, he can overcome it.
Very true. Well, Coach, we have to take a time out. You mind indulging us in playing and just playing Coach Young in Fact or Fiction when we come back from break?
Well, I think I'm the only one that's lost Ed in all these years, and I told you I didn't want to do it. But, I guess he needs a win, so we'll do it.
Trust me. We'll blame it on Lynn Burke if you don't win.
Trust me. He'll give you all you got to do is listen. He'll give you a hint for the answers. I never know what the question is, let alone the answer.
Well, I'm going to need a lot of hints, fellas, because I'm not very good with trivia. I'm old and I've forgotten more than I remember.
Danny Mitchell, the Hampton Crabbers, coming back with us more here when we do on High School Sports Talk. Fact or Fiction, that's coming your way next on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
And welcome back to High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1 with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield. Pleasure to be joined by, yet again, Danny Mitchell, the head baseball coach of the Hampton Crabbers. 8-0 in the season, having outscored their foes 84-7 with 5 shutouts and so many contributions from VMI commit Trey Morgan to Brian McBride, Keyshawn Johnson, Max Pietrzakowski, and others. And we like to do this game from time to time. We're dusting off the cobwebs. It's Fact or Fiction. We ask the guys one question each worth a point, and then a bonus question at the end worth 2 points. As Coach Mitchell, we are going to root him on to defeat my co-host, the Coach Ed Young, who I will razz. And since Coach Mitchell is our guest, Ed, I'm going to let him go first. Are you okay with that?
I concur.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Coach Mitchell, here you go. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. And this will be a mixture of some high school sports and maybe even a pro sports question here and there, baseball, basketball, you name it. Here we go. Question number 1, and it's baseball related. All 6 of last year's VHSL state baseball champions were also regional champions. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
Whew. 6 teams. That's false.
Okay, Coach Mitchell says it's fiction. Ed, all 6 of last year's VHSL baseball state champions were also regional champions. Is that fact or is that fiction?
I'm going to say fact.
Ed says fact. Coach Mitchell says fiction. Thomas, give a point to Coach Mitchell. It is fiction. Prince George in Class 5 won it, did not win a regional title, and Spotsylvania in Class 3 won a state but not a regional title. So, Coach Mitchell, you got the lead. You feel good?
Hey, the only reason I knew that is because Mickey Roberts and his wife are good friends of Cindy and ours, and I knew that he had lost in the region, and he won the state championship. So I got to give credit to Mickey for that one.
There you go. Well, we're going to throw Coach Ed Young a basketball question now to try to see if he can catch up with you. You ready, Ed, for question number 2? All right, here we go. Current Dallas Mavericks head coach Rick Carlisle, you know who he is, right? He was the leading scorer for UVA the last time before this year they reached the Final Four in 1984. Is that a fact or is that fiction? Current Mavericks coach Rick Carlisle was the leading scorer for UVA the last time before this year they made the Final Four. Is that fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Ed says fiction. Coach Mitchell, current Mavericks coach Rick Carlisle was the leading scorer for UVA when they made the Final Four back in 1984. Is that fact, or do you agree with Ed it's fiction?
You know, I think it's fiction. I don't think Carlisle led that team in scoring.
Well, guess what? They're both correct. So give them each a point. He was the second leading scorer to Othell Wilson. You remember Othell Wilson, Ed?
Guard, yeah, 6-foot guard.
So there you go. It's 2-1. Coach Mitchell in the lead. You're betting 1,000, Coach, and you're up for question number 3 first. We go to softball. Question number 3. The J.R. Tucker and Richmond, J.R. Tucker High School softball team won the 1981 state championship in a game in which they were no hit. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
You know, I was fortunate enough to play fast pitch softball when I came back home with the F&M Bankers, who were great down over here. And I know in fast pitch softball you can win games without getting base hits because there's so much bunting involved and stealing. You know, I'm going to go ahead and say that's a fact.
Ooh, okay. Danny Mitchell says fact. Ed Young, the J.R. Tucker High School softball team won the 1981 state championship in a game in which they were no hit. Do you concur it's fact, or are you saying it's fiction?
I like Danny's reasoning because I would agree that's the same kind of reason I use.
But you know I'm a tricky fellow. Is that what you're going to say?
He's a tricky fellow, and that's a state championship. So I'm going to agree with Danny.
Oh, you're going to agree?
I'm going to agree.
Guess what, Thomas? They both get a point. It is a fact. They won the 1981 state championship without a hit. Isn't that crazy? That is crazy.
I'll tell you what, I mean, that is a pitcher-dominated game. I think every kid that plays baseball ought to play fast-pitch softball for 1 year where you can't quit and just see a softball go up, because all baseball players see balls go down and sideways, but they never see a ball go up. I mean, it's an amazing sport.
Well, we got a good one here. It's 3-2. Danny Mitchell leading Ed Young in Fact or Fiction here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. 2 more questions and the 2-point bonus question. And for question 4, Ed is up first, and it is basketball related. Question number 4, Ed. All 6 of the VHSL boys basketball state champions this year, 2019, were also regional champions. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
Fiction.
You go fiction without any hesitation. Coach Mitchell, all 6 of the VHSL boys basketball state champions this year were also regional champions. Is that fact, or do you agree with Ed it's fiction?
I think it's fiction.
They're just knocking it out of the park today, Thomas. I don't know if these easy questions or what. Give them both a point. There was one team that didn't. Now, Ed, I'm not going to give you any extra points. Do you know who the team that did win the state championship didn't win a regional title, or do you not know off the top of your head? You should know since you broadcast these games.
I looked at all the stats. I don't know it off the top.
All right. I'll tell you, it's GW Danville. They won the state title in Class 4, but did not win the region title. They lost that to Jefferson Forest. So it is 4-3. Coach Mitchell still batting 1,000, and he's up for question number 5. Coach Mitchell, all 6 of the VHSL girls basketball state champions this year were also regional champions. Is that a fact, or is it fiction?
I think with girls, where there's not as many, I don't think there's as much parity as it is in boys basketball. Now, I hope they don't blow your lines up because I said that, but I'm going to say that all the girls in one region, one state.
All right, Coach Mitchell says fact. Ed, all 6 of the VHSL girls basketball state champs this year were also regional champs. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
This is for the game.
No, you have a 2-point bonus question. It's not for the game.
This is the question.
Coach Mitchell says fact. Ed Young, all 6 of the VHSL girls basketball state champs here in 2019 were also regional champs.
I want to use the lifeline.
You can't do that. It's not part of the game. This is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You can't do that. Well,
all right, I want to look it up on my phone.
People. You can't Google it. You going to pass and get no point here?
No, we can't do that.
Well, put your phone down. You can't cheat. He's trying to cheat, Coach Mitchell.
I tried that last year. I couldn't get it to come up quick enough.
Yeah, you guys aren't fast enough. The kids, we had who we have it here? Surrey Zamar Slade, basketball player going to Virginia Wesleyan. He was Googling stuff faster than I think our research department can Google.
Hey, I know absolutely zero about basketball. You guys know that. I love basketball coaches, but I don't know anything about that.
Well, we'll give you a hint. Our bonus is a baseball, so we'll see. And we'll have to make you go first, Coach, because you could obviously agree if you have the lead. But we'll see here. Ed, you got to give us an answer.
Fiction.
Ed says fiction. Coach Mitchell says fact. Put a point down for Coach Mitchell. Thomas, it was a fact. All 6 girls basketball state champs. Coach Mitchell, he really, he's got a little bit of Ed Young in him. He tries to trick you. I don't know it. He's batting 1,000, folks. 5 for 5. You're the first in a while to do that in this game. So win, lose, or draw. You can't lose. You did a great job. And you got a bonus question to secure the victory. Are you ready for the bonus question?
I'm ready.
All right. You cannot lose this game. The worst you can do is a tie. So here we go for Coach Danny Mitchell, beating Ed 5-3 at the moment. Bonus question. New York Mets outfielder Lance Johnson not only led Major League Baseball in hits in 1996, but it was the only time in his 14-year career that he had more than 200 hits in a season. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
That's a fact.
Coach Mitchell says fact. Ed?
That's a fact. I know this.
You're not going to disagree?
Well, I would have. I could disagree, but I'll be wrong.
Okay, you're going with fact.
I'm going to have to. Well, I'll disagree because he went fact. It's an automatic win for him.
Are you disagreeing? What is your answer before I?
Lance Johnson. I remember left-hander, short dude. Danny said fact. I have to go fiction, but it is fact.
You don't have to go fiction, but it would make sense to go fiction.
Yeah, I'll go fiction, but I know it's a fact.
All right, Ed officially says fiction, even though he thinks it's a fact. Danny Mitchell says fact, and I hate to break it to you. Oh, it's a fact, and Danny Mitchell sweeps it. A perfect game you just threw, Coach, on Fact or Fiction. You just threw a perfect game.
That ought to prove to people, no matter how bad you are, the year before, if you work hard and study, you can come back and win a couple games.
One of nature's mysteries.
It was not given the answers. That's an outstanding job, just like your team, undefeated, and we wish you all the
best. Danny, you're
Hopefully
rolling.
on to a state championship in June. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'm sure we'll get you on again soon, all right?
Hey, guys, thanks a lot, Matt. We always enjoy coming and talking to you and Ed.
Hey, Danny, get a lottery ticket and make sure I get a third of it.
Hey, I need to do something, man. It's my birthday week. I'd have felt bad if I'd lost, I'll be honest with you.
Go get a lottery ticket. I feel at least $25 is coming your way.
Hey, I might do that. I've never bought one in my life, but I might try that
today. Get one. Tell your wife to get it. She's lucky, too.
Okay, you're right. You're right. Hey, guys, we love y'all. Hey, thanks for having us
Danny.
on.
Take care.
Danny Mitchell, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Thomas, I'm not joking about this. I think the last person to throw a perfect game on Fact or Fiction was Lynn Burke one morning, and I forgot who he went against. It might have been, I don't think it was Danny Mitchell. It might have been Rod Johnson or so. I forgot who it was. He hit every question, including the bonus question. And I think he's the only one to do it. So he's in exclusive company with the historian guru himself. That's a pretty good job. And he didn't hesitate on any of those. And you took another L, Ed. Sorry. I'm not too sorry, actually. I'm actually glad you lost. I don't root for you to lose in the real games, but in these games, I like seeing you lose. So there you have it. You have nothing else to say to me, do you? You're just going to look the other way the rest of the show.
I got shut out. I mean, the bats weren't clicking, and I got to make trades.
Like the Yankees.
Heads got to roll.
You're banged up, and you're not getting it done like the Yankees.
My lose. Yeah, see, the drugs are getting to me. My knee.
Well, that's been happening for years, but that's another story.
I couldn't concentrate on the question because the knee was messed up, and I had a shift, and it hurt. And I claim I want to recount. I want to go recount.
We got time for one more short segment. We'll give you our NBA playoff picks. Thomas, Ed, and me, Matt Hatfield, coming your way next on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Final segment here. We got a couple minutes left here on the program on ESPN Radio 94.1 with the Coach Ed Young. I'm Matt Hatfield, Thomas Simmons, other side of the glass as well. Don't forget the ODU football spring game comes your way here on ESPN Radio 94.1, 3 o'clock. Don't forget Tides baseball later on tonight against the Toledo Mud Hens, 6:50 airtime, and also on 1310 The Power ODU baseball at UTSA 4:55. So we get you covered with all the local sports here. All right, I'm going to let you go first, Thomas, since you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan. 2:30 today on ESPN, the Sixers and the Nets. Who wins the series? How many games?
I know everyone's picking this as the real sexy upset pick.
No way.
I'm going to say Sixers in 6. If they can't get out of the first round, what the heck have you been doing all year? Going after Tobias Harris, going after Jimmy Butler. I think way too many people this entire season have been putting stock into the regular season and thinking certain teams are going to just be miserable or be great. These players only care about April and beyond. Let's see if the all-star talent shows up. I think the Sixers get it done.
If they don't win, you're not getting that signed T-shirt, whatever it was we agreed to with Mike Scott.
He ended up getting the jersey he said he was going to get, too. He followed through with his Flyers black jersey.
He did? Okay.
He's called out on the show.
Good deal. Ed, what do you think? You agree with Thomas? Sixers, and how many games are you going
Sixers
Brooklyn?
in 5.
Oh, 5, you say?
Sixers in 5.
I'm going to go Sixers in 6. I think they're the most talented team in the East. I do worry about the maturity level a little bit for some of those young guys. All right, Ed, you go first now. Magic Raptors, 5 o'clock ESPN tonight. The Magic, the 7, the Raptors, the 2 seed. Going
Raptors
Toronto.
in 5.
Raptors in 5. I'll go Raptors in 4. Sweep, get the brooms out. Sorry, Magic, you don't have Penny Hardaway and Shaq anymore, or Dwight Howard, which not anybody wants anymore. Thomas, what do you think?
I'm not going to sleep on the Magic for some reason this year. A lot of people are telling me that this team is up for the playoffs, and I think Toronto is probably one of the best teams in the East, if not the best team in the East. But I'll say Orlando can push that one to 6.
Ooh, okay. All right. I go first for this one. 8:15 tonight on ABC. The Golden State Warriors, a 13-point favorite for Game 1. The top seed, 2-time defending state champs, going for the three-peat against the L.A. Clippers. I go Warriors in 5. They'll have one slip up where they don't care and they'll get beat by 30, but they'll win the series in 5. Thomas, what do you say?
Warriors in 4, everyone says they're vulnerable. Everyone says that this is their worst year, so they're going to win every game by probably 90.
Okay, Ed?
Warriors in 5.
Warriors in 5. All right. Thomas, you're up first for the late game tonight, 10:30. My dad's San Antonio Spurs, the 7, trying to pull the upset against the Denver Nuggets. The number 2 seed. I know this is not the 97-98 Nuggets we were talking about during break this week that really stunk. What do you think, Thomas? Spurs, Nuggets. How many games? Who wins?
The Nuggets are a really great story this year. They've got a lot of fun players to watch. But there's just a lot of youth there, and I can't go against Pop in the playoffs, at least for a round. He's been fantastic with this Spurs team all year, and I think they're in a really great place right now. So I think they're feeling themselves and they can get through a round. So I'll say Spurs in 7.
Wow. Ed?
I like everything he's saying, but I'm going to go Nuggets in 7.
I think it's going 7. Why not? Make my dad a happy camper. Maybe he'll buy dinner next time we're out. I'm going Spurs in 7. Make a good pick there. All right, Ed, we go over to tomorrow's games in the East and West as we finish up here. Pacers, Celtics, 1 o'clock tomorrow, TNT. Who you like? Indiana, the 5, or Boston, the 4?
This is going to be a tough series.
No Oladipo, though, for the Pacers. That's a big deal.
Boston in 7.
Boston in 7. I'm going to go Boston in 6. Thomas?
I'll take Boston in 5. Honestly, I think the Pacers, I don't know how they've been pulling this off once Vick went down, and the Celtics are just a case-in-point team for don't buy too much into the regular season. Kyrie Irving is lethal. He's lethal in the playoffs. He's unreal. He's the guy that we all sit here and talk about. Oh, LeBron didn't win a championship for Cleveland. Kyrie did it. All right, well, let's act like it. He's probably going to carry this team to the Eastern Conference Finals or something. The Celtics just turn it on in April. They're going to do it again. I think they roll through the Pacers.
That's the crazy thing. They might be favored against the Bucks if they both meet in the second round. As we move along here, the Thunder and the Trailblazers. 3:30 ABC tomorrow. The Thunder, the 6 seed, the Blazers the 3 seed. Is that right? I think that's right. Yeah. Who's up first?
Yes.
Who's up first? You, me, or Ed? I lost track here. Who's up first?
I can go first with this
right,
one.
Go ahead.
I'm going to take the Thunder in 6. I think the Trailblazers are a better team than people giving credit for, but Russell Westbrook, Paul George, these guys are just playing unreal basketball right now. Did you know Dwayne Wade, his final game of his career, that was just his 5th career triple-double?
That is remarkable. You think he'd have more than that.
It puts what Russ is doing into perspective a little bit more for me, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do these playoffs.
And he's going to play with a lot of fury and passion if he gets to the conference finals against Durant and the Warriors. Ed, what do you think? Blazers, Thunder. Thomas says Thunder in 6.
I like Thunder in 6.
All right. I'm going to go Thunder in 5. I think that injury is going to affect the Blazers without Nurkic, is it? Nurkic, right? That's the guy that's out. Yeah, with Lillard. And I know they'll get a game with those guys, but I think the Thunder take this and roll. Pistons, Bucks. All right, Ed, you go first. The 8th seed against the top seed with the Greek Freak, Milwaukee, and how many? Or are you going Detroit with the Shocker?
No, that's the Bucks, and I'm going, for the sake of fun, Bucks in 5.
5, I go sweep. Thomas?
I'm going to say 6, actually.
Ooh,
I think
okay.
Blake Griffin wants to make a little noise in the playoffs.
Is he healthy,
and it could be a little bit of fun here between the Pistons and the Bucks. I think the Bucks are a team that this is going to be a new experience for them, being the front runner, being the team in the playoffs. So could take a little bit to settle into this series. I think they get through, but the Pistons are. I think they can give them some problems for a game or two.
And last one here as we close it up. Jazz, Rockets. The Rockets, the Florida Jazz. The 5 seed, that's a 9:30 TNT game tomorrow night. You know I love my Jazz with Stockton and Malone. They're not there anymore, but they got Spider, Donovan Mitchell, and Rudy Gobert. Jazz are going to make the Rockets sweat. I'm tired of hearing about Houston's going to beat Golden State. Maybe they do, but take care of the Jazz first before you start foaming off the mouth. Rockets in 7. It's going to be a long series. Ed?
Rockets in 7.
Thomas?
I'll take the Jazz in 7. I'm going to take the defense. I think they shut down the 3-point attack. They can limit Harden and Paul a little bit, and they can be real big problems for Houston. This is going to be probably the best round 1 matchup.
Should be a lot of fun. That'll do it for this edition of High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Also brought to you by the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, going out to the PIT April 17th through April 20th at Churchland High School, and visit PortsmouthInvitational.com. We thank our guests, Michael Vick, the Pro Bowl quarterback, formerly out of Newport News, Virginia, Danny Mitchell, the Hampton Crabbers, Debbie White from ODU. For the coach, Ed Young, we'll talk to you next Saturday. I'm Matt Hatfield, Thomas Simmons. Thanks for listening to ESPN Radio 94.1.